Hey folks, it's a beautiful day. We're going to take a crack at the hourly wage rate and progressions for RSMCs as set out in this contract offer the contractor are being forced to vote on. So briefly, in a moment, I'll have on the page just a photograph of the scale, starting with the minimum 2024 at $25.75 as the first year, and the top rate of the final year being $34.49. Wage progression is based on the last date of hire as a route holder or permanent flex employee. You will progress on your anniversary date, and on-call relief shall be at the lowest rate possible for the duration of their employment. So for actual wage calculations under the hourly rate, an employee's wage is determined by their hourly wage rate above that we just talked about, and they'll be adding the variable allowances, which it says may consist of the following, which is neighborhood mail allowance, knowledge sort and civic addressing allowance, special allowances, and rest period allowances. So the flyer calculation will still be based off of the annualized total. And here's the chart. I do have to say that the values are very eye-opening to me. I'm an urban member. For your smallest group of items, less than 500 grams, which it says that you will be paid just shy of 2 cents by the end of this contract, the urban members get paid 7 cents a piece. So just some thoughts on that. Knowledge sort and civic addressing allowance. This is basically being frozen. It did increase from 22 to 23, but then it's basically staying at 5.7 cents per point of call per day for the period of 3 months, as is normal. There are no other changes to this section of the collective agreement. Apparently, if you have a special vehicle type, which I think is just right-hand drives, that's what Carrie tells me, there is a minimum of $1,200 per year amount to be paid, but I don't think it's very common. That's a thing. So for every 10-minute rest period that you get that's paid, the corporation will also pay you for 5 minutes of that rest period. Basically, as much like the urban agreement, they don't want to pay you they don't want to give you the entire 15-minute break. They'd rather give you a 10. And so what they've done is that they offset that by paying you for that 5-minute break, and that will be from $2.64 for the first year to $2.83 for the last year, rather than giving you a 15-minute break. So you get a 10-minute break and a couple of bucks. So far, we've been talking about the structured parts of your workday. Like right now, your day is structured. You have mail ready time, you've got your time to deliver, you've got your mileage, you've got your flyer pay. All of these things are structured into your day. But now we need to talk about unstructured work. This is both simpler and more complicated. So employees performing unstructured work shall be compensated in accordance with their scheduled hours of work at the appropriate rate. So if your day is 8 hours and you do not have structured work, but you do the entire 8 hours, you will be paid 8 hours at the hourly rate. And of course, you'll be paid your vehicle allowance because you're still driving your vehicle, and then all of those other allowances that are included. Work beyond scheduled hours will be paid in accordance with Article 13 and the new overtime rates as applicable. We'll get to those in a minute. When applicable, the vehicle expenses described under Clause 3301B will be paid to employees performing unstructured work. So that says that if you're using your own vehicle to do the unstructured work, you will be paid the mileage. So before we talk about overtime, we need to talk about what a normal work week is. A normal work week, according to the corporation, will extend from Sunday to Saturday inclusively, and it shall not exceed 40 hours on average, calculated over a 2-week period. Each router assignment shall have a fixed schedule of 5 days or less. Daily hours are variable, but your fixed schedule shall not exceed 9 hours per day. So this could mean you'd have a 9-hour Monday and a 7-hour Friday, and every other day in the middle would be 8 hours, and that's okay with them. One of the things they want to do is, in the urban side of things, we call this load leveling, but they want to be able to reallocate any collection and delivery activities that RSMC is doing and optimize those hours by giving them to somebody else who has less work. So if you happen to have a 9-hour schedule Monday, but it's only going to take you 7 hours, they could, in theory, give you 2 hours of somebody else's work or portions of other people's work to optimize it so they don't do overtime. And this would not be paid any additional. Obviously, be paid more mileage, but you'd be paid the regular hours that you are assigned during that period under the schedule listed above. They do note here that any parcel that's reassigned for delivery during the week days, Monday through Friday, except statutory holidays, shall be included in the annual volume assessment of the route that normally performs the delivery. So you just want to know how that works. So if you had to give parcels away, it stays on your route value, or if you're delivering other parcels, it doesn't help you. Now we can get on to overtime. So overtime must be authorized by Representative Canada Post. Overtime will be paid out at 1.5 times for all hours over 8 hours per day or 40 hours per week, and 2 times for the third hour of overtime performed on the same day. If you're scheduled for more than 8 hours on one day, it doesn't apply, only for hours that exceed your daily schedule. And if you work more than 5 days in a week, the 6th and 7th day will be at double the rate of pay. It's also important to note that if you work 2 hours of overtime prior to or after your shift, they will be giving you an extra 15-minute break paid at regular time. That's if it's a known period, so you'll be paid the 2 hours of overtime, given a 15-minute break right before the start of your shift, and then if it's after your shift, you'd be given the break, and then you get 2 hours of overtime. If for some reason you end up with 3 hours of overtime, you'll be given a meal period allowance, which is 30 minutes at 1.5 times instead of 15-minute breaks. For an unknown period of more than 2 hours authorized by Representative Canada Post, the route holder will be reimbursed $6.25 for a meal allowance. So something that a lot of RSMCs are going to have some difficulties with, just because there's a fair amount of freedom in regards to this with your routes, is that there is going to be a starting time. For the purpose of calculating hours worked by employees or determining whether employees are entitled to overtime payments, official starting times are used unless recorded arrival times are later than that at the official starting time. It's interesting here how they restrict you. They don't restrict you from coming in early, but they won't pay you for it. But they won't stop you from coming in late. I see them making an issue of this later, though, because if you come in early and then you leave early, you end up with what's known as trap time, which they're making a big deal out of the urban thing, the urban side of things. So it's not a lot. I feel like they're going to sneak some stuff on this one. And I think the last thing I'm going to talk about today is something known as comp time. So comp time allows you to bank your overtime. So rather than taking your overtime, you would bank it as time you can take off. It's compensatory time. So it says at the request of an employee, his or her overtime hours may be converted into compensatory time off rather than being paid. At the end of each year, your comp time will be paid out unless you submit a written request to carry them over. You can have a maximum of 10 days, which can be carried over. You can also, on written request, have the comp time paid out with 30 days notice of you wanting it. I don't necessarily see you getting a lot of comp time because the on-call relief people are here to make sure you don't get overtime, and they're going to be they're going to be forcing people to do work if they're done on time. So it's really give and take, and I don't see any benefit to the comp time. Some of the breaks and stuff like that are fairly standard for urban members as they would be for you guys. So we'll talk more in the future.